Welcome, everybody. This is live number two for Thrive Not to Survive. I'm your host, Sarah Jamal. As I mentioned to you on the morning live, today is a special day for me because I have two wonderful guests that I was able to interview on the same day. And this lady totally blows me away with her energy and her not only compassion that she exudes, and I followed her very shortly that I've met her through another group that I just found. But I love the fact that it's another woman entrepreneur who wants to inspire others, other women entrepreneurs, to be the best version of themselves in their life and in their business. So let me introduce to you to Hallie Avolio, or Avolio. I hope I'm saying that right. Let me get her on so we can start this conversation started. I butchered your name. I'm so sorry. Welcome.
I heard it. You got it. You got it. It's Hallie Avolio. You did it great. It's perfect.
Oh, perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I'm so grateful to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's lovely to be here. And I'm just so glad that we connected. I know a moment ago, we were just talking about the kind of divine way that we have come together and we get to share our message in this platform. So I'm really grateful to you for putting this out there.
Awesome. Thank you. So before we get to sort of what you do and your genius, your zone of genius, as I call it, tell us how you got to doing what you're doing, your life story, basically.
Sure. My life story. Whoa, that's a big one. So let's see. I was born in July in 1979. Actually, I just celebrated my 41st birthday, so that's relevant. Yay! Let's see. My life was pretty standard, pretty typical, what I would call pretty boring growing up. I had kind of the mindset that you go through and you do all the things. You go through your, kindergarten through 12th grade. You go to college for 4 years. You get a job. You find a husband. You get married. You get a dog. You buy a house. You do all these things, right? It's like check, 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 check. And I definitely followed that checkbox lifestyle. And I just thought that that's how life was supposed to go, like white picket fence and all. And, it was fine. Like all was good. I was successful. I did graduate from UCLA in 4 years. I got a degree in honors. I started a job with a Fortune 100 company 2 weeks after college graduation. I worked my way up in a sales career, up into sales management very rapidly. I was given tons of awards. I was making a ton of money, like all these things, right? And, I married my college sweetheart. We were in love and we got married and we bought a house and we got the dog, like all the things, right? And all the things seemed really, really great. And they were until they weren't. And the other piece, just to make sure that I don't forget, is that I do have 3 beautiful children. They are ages 12, 10, and 6. And they are a big part of my story as well, because I would say the first major shift in my life where I started realizing that I didn't necessarily want this checkbox lifestyle was when my first son was born. And it was really this eye-opening moment where I realized, I think I want something else. I don't think that I want this corporate lifestyle. I don't think that I want to be this full-time working mom that has to always, pass off her kid to a nanny. And that was a really radical shift for me because I grew up in a household where my mom and dad both worked full-time. We always had, somebody else to take care of us who wasn't a family member, me and my brother. And I was just used to it. And I thought that that's the way that life had to be. And so when I had this like first radical shift where I was like, oh, maybe I don't have to, work full time. Maybe I can figure out some alternative plans. That was pretty radical. And then I thought I actually wanted to be a full-time stay-at-home mom. And I tried that out for a bit, and that actually didn't resonate with me quite as well. So the hybrid was that my husband owns a business, and he asked me if I wanted to do the sales for him since I had this, career, this background in sales. And so I said yes. I thought, okay, this is the perfect solution. I can be part-time working for my husband's company and the other time with my children. And that all seems great. But along the way, the 10 years or so when I was like pregnant and having babies and whatnot and working part-time, I never felt whole. And I think really that's kind of the crux of how I came to be where I am today, is that I never felt whole. I never felt like I was really pursuing me. It was like I was helping my husband with his business. I was raising my children. I was taking care of my household, but I wasn't nurturing and nourishing myself. But part of the issue was I really didn't know what I desired, because I had always lived this checkbox life that I felt like I was doing all the things that I was, supposed to do, that I never gave myself the opportunity to really explore what I wanted to do. So that manifested into a lot of resentment and anger. And after my third son was born and he was about 2, I started to feel very, very angry, and not at my children, but just at my life. And I felt like I was a victim of circumstance and that I was never going to be able to dig myself out of this hole. And I made these choices in my life up to this point, and now, I was kind of stuck. And it took me quite a while of being rebellious and acting in ways that I'm not proud of, but I know that I had to kind of go through that dark shadow side of myself to get to where I am now. And, in the process, I nearly destroyed my marriage. I definitely challenged my relationship with my children. And it took me going through that to really get down to the heart of the matter, which was I had lost who I was.
Mhm.
And I forgot to ask myself that question. And
that is so amazing. Sorry, I just want to say, right, like for you to bring it down to that level, it is about that relationship with self, right? Is where we have to begin, and yet that's where we end and start asking questions after. Saying that. So continue, but that's amazing.
Oh, thank you. Well, I've never done as much personal work, spiritual work, going inward as I have in the last 3.5 years, like in my life. Like it never occurred to me. In fact, I recently did an interview with another woman, and I told her, if someone had told me about spirituality and self-love and going inward and all this stuff, maybe 6, 7, 8 years ago, I would have been like, what are you talking about? That's nonsense. I don't believe it. Because I wasn't in that headspace. And really, like, I did have to go through all this muck. I had to go through all the mud and I love to think of the vision of a lotus flower, because, a lotus flower blossoms so beautifully out of the mud. And I really resonate with that imagery for myself, because while I had many beautiful things in my life, I went through a time where I was definitely in the mud, 100%. Like I just felt all the muddy things. And as I've blossomed out of it, that is where I have found my true self, my true calling, and my true passions to be able to help others, especially women who are in the same sort of situation, to really live their purpose, live their passion in business, in life, as a mother, if they're a mother, as a partner, as a friend, as in all the ways, but it always comes back to yourself. And my biggest message is you have to take care of you first. You have to prioritize yourself. And in doing so, you will show up better in all aspects of your life.
Absolutely. It's like the analogy that, I use a lot in my coaching business, but I've been told this is when you go in an airplane, right? Mm-hmm. They tell you if there was an emergency, you put your oxygen mask on first before you help your child or whoever's sitting next to you, make sure you have oxygen. So this is the whole premise of you've got to do this for yourself to able to so we can show up for others at our optimal selves, right? As opposed to giving others from a very empty cup. And then we have that muck, and we have that feeling of anger, resentment, all of these things that bottle up within us, right? Because we're not sure who we are or how we're doing anything for ourselves, and we feel like we're only giving it away to others. Especially as mothers. And as a household, like you're running your household, but you're also a business owner. There's so many facets that take away, right, from who that person is. So thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that journey of how you found out what was missing.
You're welcome. And I just want to share one of my favorite quotes. I have it on my computer by Rumi: "Never give from the depths of your well, but from your overflow." And that summarizes to me like the epitome of what I teach and what I embody, and what I hope if you take away nothing else from this chat, that's what, people take away from it.
That's amazing. So now can we kind of shift a little bit as to, so you went through this complete collapse of, recreation.
Yep.
Then what happened? Like, how do you now really show up for, let's talk about business, how you show up for your clients?
Well, it's funny. It's gone through a lot of iterations. And I know, as a businesswoman, we're constantly evolving. And as an entrepreneur, it's like you have all these ideas. So when I first started out, I really thought that I wanted to help women by helping them with their fitness and their nutrition. And I'm not a nutritionist and I'm not a personal trainer, but I was really passionate about those things. And so I thought that that's how I wanted to show up. And I found that I really liked it, but it wasn't really, again, probably because I wasn't a professional in either of those areas. It really didn't resonate with me quite as much from a teaching and passion perspective. And so what really started to evolve was showing up in a way that works with mindset and positivity and affirmations. And, I've been kind of massaging this and nurturing this business to figure out, how can I better show up in that capacity? So I started out just blogging, and then I created a podcast, and then I did some live events. And what's evolved over the last, especially over the COVID period, over the last, 12 months really, is doing more interaction with people one-on-one, both in a women's circle setting and also doing one-on-one business consulting in this mindset focused way, as well as life coaching. So it's all kind of coming full circle, because it's this, it's this metamorphosis of all of the assets that I bring to the table, my sales background, my management background, my human resources background, marketing, all of it, plus my mindset, affirmations, positivity. So I've kind of meshed it all together. And that's really how I strive to teach others.
And I think that's the key, right? Like you can't really have all of this stuff that you want to do in business, marketing, strategy, all of it, if your mindset is not really in a place where you can create and be empowered.
Exactly.
Right. So I think there has to be some sort of meshing that happens where you combine the two, because when you have the mindset piece, then everything else becomes easier.
Right. Right. And I really feel strongly about, empowering ourselves. And there's a lot of ways that we can do that. And, it's nothing that I've, created from scratch. I just have curated a lot of teachings that I've done self-study over the past several years of, what are the different things that work for me? What do I keep in what I call my mindset toolbox? And I've got this mindset toolbox, and I know that when I need to pull one of those things out, whether it's journaling, whether it's affirmations, whether it's overcoming limiting beliefs, right? And these things show up in all aspects of our life, especially in business, especially as entrepreneurs. When I talk to my clients, one of the biggest concerns that they have is, how do I show up without seeming annoying or too much to the audience? And right. I get that question all the time. And I said, first of all, own who you are. Own what you do, own your expertise, because you are the person that they want to know as the expert. And when you own your truth and you show up in an authentic way, you're attracting people to you. And that's the whole thing about marketing, right? Marketing and sales is all about attraction. You can call it all the different things, but at the end of the day, we serve so that we can attract people to us, because those are the people that want to work with us. Exactly. And it doesn't matter how many people are in any particular industry. I believe very strongly in abundance, and there is enough, because everybody's going to resonate differently with everyone else. So if you and I offer the exact same services, we're probably still going to have different clients because of who resonates with you and who resonates with me. And that's just how it is. And that's beautiful.
It is beautiful. And I think that's something where, for a lot of things, and I've talked to so many now different women entrepreneurs, is this idea of abundance thinking, right? Where it's not like you're in competition with your women, your sisterhood, all these beautiful women that are doing amazing work. And there could be some things that are, overlapping with different women that we're in contact with. But if you could have that mindset that it's not a competition, it's not about getting everything for yourself and leaving nothing for someone else, because when you have an abundant mindset, you're just attracting more of what resonates with you, and the other person is doing the same. And I think this is where we can really empower each other.
And I'd love to share. So when I first started my sales career, I was working for this, like I said, a Fortune 100 company. I was right in the heart of greater Los Angeles area in a high-rise building. And you can imagine, this was like the early 2000s. And it was like pretty competitive, right? There's, and they fostered a competitive experience. So they were constantly pitting us against each other, teams against each other, individuals against each other. We had weekly roll calls where there was a leaderboard and you had to, cheer for people, but everybody had to say what their sales were. But it was in such a scarcity mindset. And I really look back on that time. And while I do believe that healthy competition is healthy and really productive, the mindset that existed, and I don't know if this still goes on in corporate because I don't work in that space anymore, but it was so cutthroat and it was so much scarcity. And it was like, if I get this, you can't have this. And I really struggle with that mindset. And it really actually set me back quite a ways, because I had such a hard time really owning how much I love doing sales and marketing, because it constantly felt like somebody was like digging a knife in my back. But now that I've created this space where I'm working, with all sorts of entrepreneurs and collaborating with women like I see that there is abundance, and we can all really, we can all be prosperous and successful. And there's no lack. We just have to remember to believe that, and really believe in ourselves, and know that what we bring to the table is what is meant to be brought to the table.
Exactly. And I think that's that faith, right? To be able to have enough confidence in yourself and enough faith in the universe that things will align, things will come together. And the vibrations we put out, I know you and I talk similar language because I've followed your videos and stuff. So, in terms of, if you have this vibration of abundance and love for another, compassion, of that energy that you exude, is what comes back to you.
Yep. Absolutely. Right? 100%.
So let's talk a little bit about your program, like how people can actually work with you on the different levels, right? So
yeah. So I recently started doing, like I said, one-on-one consulting. I hadn't done that up until several months ago, but it felt like the right time. So I do offer business consulting services for what I call soul-centered entrepreneurs. So these are women that are working in, health and wellness, fitness, nutrition, spirituality practices, and creative entrepreneurs. So people in that realm, because I find that I really resonate most with women in that space. And I really want to help them show up on social media, in their marketing efforts, and really a whole cohesive package when it comes to, how do you do your marketing? How do you do your sales? It's not just about social media. It's not just about email marketing. You have to look at the entire thing, if you think about a sales funnel, right? You've got like the top level is the attraction, all the way down, to the bottom when you get that sale with the customer. So I really want to look at the comprehensive work that an individual is doing when she's putting herself out there, and how does she look at it collectively and strategically, so that she can, resonate with the most people, attract them, and bring in the most dollars to herself. Because at the end of the day, that's what, she's trying to do. I also recently started offering life coaching services. So that's, not necessarily business related, but more about how do you take care of yourself, mind, body, spirit? How do you show up best in your life? How do you feel confident and nurtured? And how do you really arm yourself with your own mindset toolbox?
So when you talk, I'm going to back up a little bit. So when you do the one-on-one, is it like a 6-month program? Is it more or less whatever the client needs, or how do you structure that?
Yeah, I like to be really client-centered because I feel that works best, and that's just how I operate. But I do offer in a minimum of 3 sessions, because I feel like without having a minimum of 3 sessions, we can't really, you only scratch the surface in 3 sessions. So I offer 2 different packages, either a 3-session package or a 6-session package. And if somebody wants something a little bit, hybrid, I'm also good with that, because I believe in flexibility. So usually the work that I do with my clients is a minimum of about a month, up until, depending on the client, it could be anywhere from a month to 6 months in that particular time frame. And of course, it could be renewed at any point.
Right. And I think that's the thing, right? When you do one-on-one, you can really individualize the program depending on that person, where they're starting, where they are, what struggles they've got. So you're able to really work with them so the transformation can happen.
And I do believe in, just kind of my own personal approach and how I have always worked, as well as how I teach others. It is not cookie cutter. I mean, yes, there are some templates that I use. There are some ways of doing things that I follow, some formulas, if you want to call it that. But I really believe in the individual work, because everybody works a little bit differently, and everybody's mind is in a little bit of a different place. And one of the most potent lessons that I learned when I was actually studying to be a manager was that nobody is going to be exactly the same as myself. And I remember I was about 25 years old, and I was managing a team of 9 sales associates. And, my executive, who was my supervisor, I was so frustrated because I couldn't understand why this one person in particular, this woman, she was like doing everything the opposite of how I was teaching her to do it. And it was driving me insane. And at 25, you've got a lot of ego coming in and getting in the way. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm 25 and I'm a manager and all this stuff. And I talked to my supervisor, and he was like, Hallie, remember, nobody is going to do it like you. Nobody's going to sell like you. Nobody's going to manage like you. Nobody's going to be exactly like you. So you have to remember that they might do it in their own way, but you teach in the way that works for you, and let them listen and let them absorb, and you guide them to work with their way. And that message has really stuck with me. And I really believe strongly, even when I'm working with a customer, even if I'm in a sales process, not in a teaching role, I don't expect that any of my clients are, running their business the same way that I run my business. And that's absolutely fine.
And that's something that's, it's funny because I just took a certification in a methodology that is about personality science and understanding that there are 4 types of people out there.
Yeah.
And if you're just one, you have one code and you're teaching in your way, not necessarily how they're receiving it is because their personality value system is different. And so, for me, that was a really huge learning where I thought, I've been in sales like you for many years, like for 15 years, and did certain things a certain way, not understanding, wait a minute, but that person doesn't do it the way I do it, but because they have different value-based systems, they have a different way of computing, the way they run their business or even just their life, they just think differently. And if we can show up in a way that resonates with them, we're able to sort of move them along the sales process. So for me, this has been a huge thing, just even being certified in this methodology, is to be able to teach that for others. And so they can show up and have more of a relationship building thing with their clients. So I think that's beautiful that you are tailoring it individually so that they're able to get the best out of it and for themselves.
Absolutely. Something that I've really embodied in the last couple of years is really just having this zero judgment and zero judgment of others, minus people that are mean. People that are mean, they can be judged all day long. But, a zero judgment policy and just really embracing with love that every person is different. And that is such a cool thing because I used to be, and I'm the first to admit it, I used to be very judgmental of people, of myself, of different practice. If somebody did something different than I did it, I would poo-poo it and roll my eyes and the whole thing. But I realized that in embracing this holistic love and just understanding that when people come from a place of love, you can do something, the same task, you can do it many, many, many different ways and achieve the same or even better results. And it's so beautiful to see that. And just always coming from a place of love with an open heart, whether it's in business, whether it's in your family, whether it's in life, whether it's in, anything, you just have to come from a place of love. So that's the way that I teach. That's the way that I work with people. That's the way that I serve, I show up. I offer lots and lots of free content because I love and I want to provide value, not for my ego, not because I'm so amazing, but because I know that it's needed. And I know that the right person is going to hear the message at the time that's right for them.
Exactly. And I think, what you're speaking about in terms of coming from that heart-centered space of love, no matter where, business, family, relationships, whatever it is, it speaks a lot about emotional intelligence in terms of having that empathy. When we show up that way, people receive us better. People can see that, we're coming in with a very open heart and it's not so agenda driven or it's not so much from the judgment perspective, but truly from a place of love. And I think that is such a huge thing when you want results. If you can come from that place, the results are enormous because people buy in further. They lean in for that guidance, for that information, for the support. And I've got Anne Marie commenting here. Haley, you're a gift. Thank you for helping the soulpreneur. So obviously,
Anne Marie.
Yeah, and this is it, right? We really do empower each other. We are women entrepreneurs, we are business owners, but at the end of the day, we want to have impact. That's what we're here for. It's a service that we provide. It's a gift that we have. We need to make sure that, people are needing help and we need to show up in that way. So I want to thank you for that. I'm as I followed you and I've watched, I watch you in your videos and the different things that you do, I just can see that you're really coming from that authentic place of your heart. So I want to thank you for that.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. So can you, we're going to tie this up because of course we can go on for hours, it's so amazing, but can you kind of tie us up? If somebody is struggling, if a woman is out there kind of looking at, well, what do I do next? I don't feel right. What would you say to them?
The first thing that I always tell people is that you have to start with loving yourself. And that is sometimes the hardest step. but it's the most important. So one practice that I really encourage women to do is to write a list of I am statements. So these are positive affirmations that start with the words I am, and write down all the things that you are. Everything, just free associate writing, just write it down. You could be, the very simple things. I am a woman, I am a business owner, I am a mother, but I want you to go deeper. I want you to really think about, who are you? What are your values? I am abundant. I am loved. I am supportive. I am spiritual. I am the owner of my path. I am creative. I am enough. And I want you to write down this list as long as you can make it. And I want you to remind yourself of these I am statements every single day. And I want you to say them to yourself, especially the ones that resonate with you most in that moment. And if you can start each and every day with these I am affirmation statements, they will really set your mindset into the most positive space so that you knock out those limiting beliefs, you really conquer your fears, and you're able to be successful in your business and in your life and really feel sassy and fun and amazing about yourself. And that's the best place to start.
That is amazing. I love it. I love the I am statements. I'm a big believer. I mean, even the meditation that Wayne Dyer does on the whole I am. I don't know if you looked at it, but it's a beautiful meditation to listen to. And with those statements that you write for yourself is stuff that you connect with.
Exactly.
And that's that soul language, right? There's that voice within you. So I want to just, there's a couple more things. I want to share with you how people can find you. You're on Facebook, right?
Yep.
Under the link that I've just posted, so they can find you there. Can they also get in touch with you there in terms of maybe sending you a private message if they wanted?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I'd also love to invite anybody that's, any women that are watching, if they're using Facebook groups, that's probably my favorite place to hang out. And it's facebook.com/groups/mysassylife. So if anybody wants to find me there, but yeah, send me a message. I'd be happy to connect, even just to chat. I also would love to offer a free 30-minute consult if anybody wants to talk about business, life, whatever, shoot in the breeze, talk about your I am statements, all of the above. So just send me a message and we can set that up too.
Awesome. See, I love that. Because sometimes in these conversations, you begin to get clarity. Someone says, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh,
the light bulbs.
Light bulbs go off. So it's beautiful.
And I've had so many mentors and teachers that they might not even know that they're mentors and teachers to me, because I've either heard them speak, I've listened to their podcast, or I've had a brief conversation that really had that light bulb moment for me. So if I can give back in that same way, then I feel like I'm fulfilling my purpose.
Exactly. So I know you emailed me and you had a very special gift for our listeners, which I want to share. I'm going to put this in the comments just so that people can have the link.
Thank you.
Watching it on replay. But thank you for creating this just for the group, for me and my group and the people that are listening. It's, again, coming from a very generous heart that I see that you have. And I want to thank you for that. Can you kind of give us an idea of what this will help them with?
Yeah. So I created an affirmation card deck called the Sassy AF Affirmation Cards. And this is a digital version of the card. So there's 37 unique affirmations that you can use. Like I said, I do have a hard copy of them, but this is a free version that's a digital version. So you can pull them up at any time. You can make them screenshots. You can make them phone wallpapers. You could just have it as a PDF that you scroll through to get some inspiration and to really make yourself feel empowered, sassy, fun, beautiful, and get you rocking on your day.
That's brilliant. So I will share that for anybody listening now, anybody on replay, they can go to your to that link and download it. Thank you for again, the generous gift.
You're so
As
welcome.
closing remarks, can you tie this all up for me?
I just want to remind everybody watching that you are doing a great job. If you are showing up with an open heart in your business and in your life, then you are doing a beautiful job, and keep reminding yourself that, because I know we have self-doubt that creeps in. I know we have fear and limiting beliefs, but know that you are doing a great job, and that will help move you forward to move past those stumbling blocks as they come across.
Thank you so much. So I want to thank you for the time. I know we have a time difference, and you've allowed me into your space, even though your children are home and you're a busy mom. Thank you so much. I invite you back anytime that you would come and visit me. But thank you so much again.
This was lovely. I really appreciate your time and being flexible also with the schedule. So thank you. And I'm so grateful for the connection and the collaboration. It's beautiful, and it really means a lot to me.
Me too. Thank you so much. Mwah.
Mwah. Thank you.
So that was my dear friend Haley, and I just want to just say to you guys that, it's all possible. It's all possible. You're doing your best right now. You're doing what you can, and you can grow from this. You can look at the opportunities that come up for you and be open to it by using your heart. And if you want to have a conversation with Hallie, please reach out to her. She's an amazing person. Find her on Facebook, follow her page, go in and interact. This is where we can empower each other, grow our communities, and grow our own selves in terms of who we are. So that's it for now. I will put her free gift in the comments, so feel free to go in and download that. And like I said, reach out to her and remember to be kind to yourself and to others. I will see you again tomorrow morning with another lovely guest. Talk to you then.